Humanity entered the war late, but ended it in a single strike. The Galactic Council's emergency session had been running for 17 cycles when the human delegation finally arrived. Ambassador Chen Wei stepped into the crystalline chamber, her simple black uniform a stark contrast to the ornate ceremonial garments worn by the other species representatives. The Zephyrian High Counselor's translucent wings fluttered with barely contained irritation. "The war has raged for 3 standard years," hissed the serpentine Vorthak ambassador, his scaled head swaying hypnotically. 17 civilizations have fallen to the Devourers. Where have the humans been? Chen took her seat at the circular table, her expression calm. Around her, the assembled representatives of 43 species watched with a mixture of curiosity and resentment. The holographic display at the chamber's center showed the current state of the war. Entire star systems marked in the ominous crimson of Devourer occupation, refugee fleets scattered across space, and defense lines crumbling daily. "We have been watching," Chen replied simply. "And learning." The avian Kithra delegate ruffled her golden feathers in agitation. "Watching? While children died on Zarian Prime, while the Makari homeworld was consumed?" "Yes," Chen said, her voice steady. "We watched as your combined fleets, numbering in the millions, were systematically destroyed. We observed how your quantum weapons passed harmlessly through Devourer vessels. We studied every tactical maneuver, every failed strategy, every desperate last stand." The chamber erupted in angry chirps, roars, and harmonized tones of outrage. Only the ancient ethereal, a being of pure, crystallized thought, remained, silent, its faceted form pulsing with contemplative light. "You speak of learning while civilizations burn," the Zephyrian High Counselor said, her voice like wind through crystal chimes. "What could possibly justify such callous—" "We needed to understand their weakness," Chen interrupted. The chamber fell silent. Every species here attacked the Devourers conventionally. Energy weapons, kinetic bombardments, even the Vorthak's dreaded quantum disruptors. Nothing worked because you were fighting them on their terms. She stood, walking to the holographic display. With a gesture, the image zoomed in on a Devourer vessel, a writhing mass of dark matter held together by fields that defied conventional physics. "The Devourers exist partially outside our dimensional framework," Chen continued. "They feed on energy itself, converting matter into sustenance for their hive mind. Every weapon you fired at them has only made them stronger." "Then how do you propose to stop them?" the Kythera delegate demanded. "If all our technologies are useless, by not fighting them at all," Chen said quietly. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, the Vorthak ambassador spoke, his voice dripping with contempt. "Surrender, then? Trust human cowardice to—" "Not surrender," Chen said, turning back to face the assembly. "Elimination." She activated her personal display, and new data flooded the chamber's systems. The representatives leaned forward, studying readouts that made no immediate sense. Massive energy signatures, unusual gravitational distortions, and, most puzzling of all, coordinates for a seemingly empty region of space. 3 years ago, when the Devourers first appeared, we began construction of the Prometheus Array, Chen explained. 7 artificial black holes, each the mass of a small moon, arranged in a specific geometric pattern around the galactic core, connected by quantum entanglement networks and powered by stellar energy harvesting. The ethereal's form suddenly blazed with brilliant light, the first emotion it had shown in millennia. "Impossible. The energy requirements alone would require the combined output of 47 stars," Chen finished. "We built Dyson spheres around uninhabited systems in the galactic rim, systems you've never explored because they seemed worthless." "What does this weapon do?" the High Counselor asked, her voice barely a whisper. Chen smiled, the first emotion she'd shown since arriving. "It doesn't destroy the Devourers. It sends them home." The holographic display shifted, showing a 3-dimensional map of space-time, itself curved and twisted around massive gravitational anchors. At the center, where the 7 black holes formed their perfect geometric arrangement, reality seemed to fold in on itself. "The Devourers came from somewhere else," Chen continued. A dying universe where matter and energy were nearly exhausted. They found a way to breach the dimensional barriers, to come here and feed. But every portal can be closed. You're going. To collapse the dimensional gateway, the Kythera breathed. Force them back into their own universe. All of them, Chen confirmed. Every devourer ship, every spore, every trace of their existence will be pulled back through the breach. And once they're gone, we'll collapse the gateway permanently. The chamber buzzed with excited conversation as the implications sank in. But the Vorthak ambassador remained skeptical. And if this fails? If your superweapon doesn't work? Chen's expression grew somber. Then humanity dies with the rest of you. The array can only fire once. The gravitational stresses will tear apart every black hole we've created. We're betting everything on a single strike. When? The High Counselor asked. Now. As if summoned by her words, alerts began flashing throughout the chamber. Long-range sensors detected massive energy discharges from the galactic rim. The display showed the Prometheus array activating. 7 points of infinite darkness reaching across impossible distances with tendrils of twisted spacetime. Every devourer vessel throughout the galaxy suddenly stopped moving. Their writhing forms began to stretch and distort as invisible forces tugged at them. Then, in a moment that lasted both an eternity and an instant, reality snapped. The crimson markers on the galactic map vanished. Destroyed worlds remained dead, but no new infections spread. The dimensional breach, invisible and undetectable, finally closed with a sound like the universe itself, sighing in relief. It's over, Chen said simply. They're gone. In the stunned silence that followed, the ancient ethereal spoke, its voice carrying the weight of cosmic understanding. Humanity studied war not to perfect it, but to transcend it. You found victory, not in superior weapons, but in superior wisdom. Chen nodded. We entered the war late because we needed to see it clearly. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't in the strike itself. It's in knowing exactly where to strike. The representatives sat in awed silence as the implications settled. Humanity had ended a galactic war not through superior firepower, but through patient observation, careful preparation, and the willingness to risk everything on a single, precisely calculated moment. The war was over, and the galaxy would remember that when humanity finally moved, they moved decisively.